I was going to talk about the iniquities of the YouTube system and how it's flawed, and do another one of those complaint videos that don't go anywhere. But I changed my mind because as I got to pondering it, I realized I was thinking about a much bigger issue, and that's when you have power behind the scenes. As with any uh, body of authority. I was going to say authority figure, but it's a whole system, the hierarchy, that gives power to certain individuals. Now, it always has to start somewhere, and there's an original. And a lot of times we forget that. I talked about government, and I talk about religion, and I also talk about spirituality. So at these different phases of human activity within the society, we always have the driving force in an individual, and we can read their books or find out about them. There's always a story or a legend, of course. Over time it changes. So the authority figure and the resulting authority system just has a gargantuan amount of power and influence over everybody else who's not in that power. Everybody in the public who is at the whim of this willful exercise. Now, that's a lot of responsibility. And whenever you talk about responsibility, whenever you talk about cause and effect, whenever you talk about blame, you talk about influence, this basically is within the operating laws of karma. There's karmic laws. And karma follows logic. But this isn't a video about karma. This is just about the people who are in power. And many times, if the system's already in place and it's just all behind the scenes, nobody knows these people. So, in my first example that got me thinking this morning was about YouTube. Nobody knows who they are. Unless you're one of the top 10 or 15 channels in YouTube right now, you don't have an inside contact. You don't really. That's changed 5 or 6 years ago. Things were already put into place when Google took over. So that means for the rest of us, the thousands of other partner channels who are doing still quite well and are pushing, to stay relevant. And then for the hundreds of thousands and millions of people who are trying to use this thing, not just to see what's on the front page or what pops up with 10 million views in one day. They're searching for things, they're subscribing intelligently, they're making their choices. For all these people, we don't have a clue who the key people are inside the system. We don't know their names, we don't know what they look like, or what they even believe in. It's just circumstantial evidence shows us what they're promoting. And as I pointed out 3 weeks ago, after the Supreme Court ruling, which struck down DOMA, Defense of Marriage Act, and actually encouraged the states to promote same-sex unions or gay marriage. You see YouTube and Google promoting this with logos and pushing certain videos. So this is indicative of who's making the decisions behind the scenes, who has the power. That's only one example. You can see by what they put out there. They'll put out Vivo, the next big uh, music hit that the music industry wants to push because they need to make millions of dollars. You know, their mafia cartel needs to stay afloat with their big billion-dollar budgets. You know, that's another example of what's the power and the ability to make those decisions. Not the ability, the privilege. So this is my message to those people, and we should be broadcasting this, you know, even in the subconscious if we can't talk to those people directly. Or this is the message to anyone in the corrupt governments of the world. You have to realize that why are you crying? I don't need to hear that. Well, okay, somebody has a complaint, you see. It's just like a child. Because if a child feels that their self has been wronged by power, power can only be used against someone that's lesser than you are. And we're all children at the whim of these powerful forces, these powerful other children. Are these children becoming bullies? Are they making their decisions responsibly? Now there's competition going on. We have a little bully, the littlest one, and then a little bully who wants to work his way into my power structure to where I wield all the influence and the ultimate decisions. This is just a small metaphor to stretch your imagination about it, you know, stretch the scale of things here, and you can see it as it plays out on the world stage. Now you guys need to take a break. Go. You just came in from the play area and you need to wash your hands. I want to leave you with this idea because power will make us assume without questioning that those people are better. But the ranking of human individuals is not by linear measure. It's not just a line where everybody can be stacked up, but from number 1 all the way down to, what is it now, it's number 7.5 billion. It cannot be ranked in a line. There is a spectrum of multiple levels that need to be determined. Someone may be number 1 at a certain level, not level, but the aspect of life, like say it's emotional. On another level, say it's physical, like true physical power and health and balance and perfection. So there's these different aspects of life. There's not just one thing to measure up. There's many. I don't even know how I can get into that right now because it's rather complex. But that means you've got a whole group of number 1s and top in that category, and those things don't really compare. It's like apples and oranges. So if you have somebody in total power and authority because they're the superior in one aspect of life, how does that compare with another one? They're not going to be ranked because they're not in the same event. It's like the Olympics. If you were to say somebody who is doing shot put has more power than somebody doing javelin, or somebody doing hurdles, or somebody doing skiing, you can't compare those. You can talk about how, ones, they're all about speed or they're all about weight, but they're different. So that means that you can't look at everybody in power and say, yeah, they're number one and therefore they have a right to decide for everybody else, because guess what? Even by using YouTube as the example, they're making decisions about what you're going to be able to watch in video. But they don't know what's the best videos, for example, in spiritual quality, the spiritual aspect of life. I guarantee you, they do not know. And they have no authority in that area. But yet, they're still making those decisions. I have a little bit of trouble on the set. Thanks for listening. Make your comments, and I appreciate hearing from you and your ideas.